Hi Stampers, this is Kim with Great Inspirations. Thank you for joining me for another Stamp Happy Holidays video. And today we are going to take a look at two card layouts that we've looked at before, but we're going to see if we can change them up a little bit for the holidays. So what I have right here are two cards, one for Hanukkah and one for Christmas. And these cards were made with the layout called Around the Block. That's what I call it. It has other names, but I call it Around the Block. And you just need 4 strips of pattern paper or cardstock. I have used some glimmer paper for both of these, actually. And you cut, basically you're making a panel that is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. So like a first layer or a first mat. So you would need 2 strips of paper that are cut at 4 1/4 by 1 inch and 2 that are cut by 3 inches by 1. And then we form this border, and there will be a window inside that border that measures 2 by 3 1/4 inches. And so what I've done here for that window, I've just cut some glimmer paper that was the 2 by 3 1/4 and filled in the center so that everything on the card shines. But over here, I just covered it up with the die cut, and I put my sentiment on the die cut. So we're going to walk through how to do this just to kind of refresh our memories. And then I'm going to show you something just a little different that you might enjoy. Another way that you can use this same idea, but make it just a tad different. So let's get out some supplies. I have a card base. It's just a regular A2 card base. It's 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 scored and folded at 4 1/4. And then I have my strips. I said there's 2 that are cut at, let's see, I think we're going to use this side. 2 that are cut at 4 1/4 by 1 and 2 that are cut at 3 by 1, and we're going to put them right on that card base. Like I said, this is like you're adding a first mat layer. Like you're making that layer that's 5 1/4 by 4. So if you are really good at laying these down just like this, and you can put the adhesive on them and get them all lined up nice and perfect like that, I admire you, because I have trouble with that. I can do it sometimes, but I mean, look, I would be off there. So a way that you can avoid all the hassle, if you're not able to just pop them on there, is to cut a piece of printer paper or just thin paper. It could even be pattern paper. And because you're not going to see it, we're going to cover it up. And then we'll just adhere these pieces to this piece of printer paper. So I'll get my adhesive. Let's get out the mat here. And we're just going to get some adhesive right on the back of these. You want to start, make sure you line up that corner. And then just go right along the top of your paper. And then you can go here or you can go here. It's totally up to you. I think I'm going to go over here. So we'll use this one since it's over there. And we're going to get the adhesive on it. Just line it up, bump it up against the edge of this one, down to the corner. And then we'll put this one on. Bump it up against that piece. Get it right along the bottom, clear to the corner. And there we go. And now our last piece. There we go. We have our panel. And now we can put adhesive on the back of this. And put it on our card base. There we go. And now we have this piece that we can put in the center. Oops. Okay. Slide that right in there. And then I have a little Santa right here. Pull the backs off of these dimensionals. We're going to put him right here. And I have a little sentiment. And I'm just going to stamp that right on the card. And I'm going to use just some black ink. It says Santa is coming to town. We're going to kind of put it at an angle. And there's our card. So that is how you do the basic around the block card. If you want to change it up just a little bit, oh, let's not change it yet. Let's talk about another way to put these strips on our card base. Like I said, you can just lay them on there if you can line them up really well. That's great. You can use that piece of printer paper. Or another thing you can do, I have pieces of cardstock that I cut. Here, let's get these. I've got all kinds of things in here. But I have pieces of cardstock that I cut in certain sizes of like the layers, so that I can see how many layers I want on a card. I might, this one is 5 1/4 by 4. I have one that's 3 by 5, no, 3 3/4 by 5. And I sometimes just lay them on to see, maybe I don't want this mat, and then I would put the 3 3/4 by 5 to see if I want a larger border of the cardstock around. Those are the kinds of things that I do with my scrap cardstock. Or cardstock that I just don't like the color, or I'm just tired of using it, or messed up, or whatever. So I just make panels out of them. So what you can do is, let me get my temporary adhesive, which of course is clear across the room. But I'm just going to put a little bit right on the back. Like I said, this is 5 1/4 by 4. We're going to just pop it right on here and get it where we want it. That adhesive will hold it in place. We're going to take a pencil and you just trace the corners. Oops. That didn't work as well as I had hoped. But we'll just trace that corner. Trace this corner. And then the last one. And we will erase those pencil marks eventually. And then all we have to do is line up our cardstock. Or not our cardstock, I'm sorry, our pattern paper. So we'll just put some adhesive. We're just going to line this corner up with our mark. There we go. And we're just going to do the same thing all the way around, just like we did with the other one. Just line it up. And there we go. Now we take the short one. Get it all lined up. And we have one more. And we'll just go back and erase our lines. Some of them I don't have to erase, they're covered up. There we go. There is our around the block. And that was just by using our piece of cardstock, putting it on here, and marking the corners. If you don't have a temporary adhesive, you could put maybe like a Post-it note right here to hold it, or some low tack tape, washi tape sometimes, but sometimes washi tape will tear like your card base, the cardstock. But if you just take it and tap it on your fingers a few times, that should keep it from being too sticky. But just anything that's low tack will probably work just fine for you. Or like I said, you could just hold it there and mark with your pencil. So that's another way if you don't want to use the piece of printer paper. So let's give this card a sentiment. I'll just stamp one right in the center there. And there we go. And of course, I do have some embellishments I might add on it and do just something a little more special there to just kind of make it a nice Christmas card. But I think you get the idea of how to do the around the block using that, I guess we could call it a template. So we'll put that over here. Now, let's talk about changing this just a little. We're going to get this card back out. Let's make this card, only let's make our window bigger. So what we can do is, let's say we don't want to do the 5 1/4 by 4 inch panel. Let's do the whole card base, the 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. That's easy, because all you need to do is you take your long side, the measurement of the long side of whatever rectangle you want to use on your card. Take the long side, it's 5 1/2. So we're going to take an inch away. So that's 4 1/2. We know we want these to be 1 inch wide. So we're going to cut 2 that are 4 1/2 by 1. And then we're going to go to the short sides. Well, this is 4 1/4. So we subtract 1 inch. So that's 3 1/4, 3 1/4 here. So we would cut out 2 that are 3 1/4 by 1 inch. And we would cover the whole card base. And we'll do that right now. Here, this card base, now, it's 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2, folded in half, and it's still an A2 card base. Now this one's going to open like this. We're going to get the bone folder and go over this score line just a little bit better. And here's our Santa again. And here are our strips. This one is 4 1/2 by 1. It will go there. And this one is 3 1/4 by 1. And it will go there. And this is going to be just like the other card, only there's no green border around the edge. So let's adhere these pieces down. And when you do cut your pieces, you do want to be aware of any patterns that need how they run. You might not want to do the Happy Holidays one, cut the other direction, because, you want your words going the right way. Let's just get this right along there. So you don't have to worry about any kind of printer paper or anything with this one, because it's going to go the full, cover up the full side of the card front. I'm going to just put this right here. And then we'll put this one on. But no, as I was talking about, you know, you need to be aware of your patterns. You want your patterns to be running the proper way when you put them, when you cut them. So just be aware of that. Again, like I said, this is a really good way to use up those little scraps of paper that you have, because they're still good and they're so pretty. So it's nice to find a good way to use them. And there we go. There's our card. We have our Santa to put on. Oh, didn't come off. Okay. So here, well, I'll get him on. And you see the difference? And there's just a little bit more space over here in this window. So this one is 2 by 3 1/4. Well, this is 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. So if you have an image or a greeting you want to stamp that's bigger than what this window allows, this might be an option for you. Let's stamp a greeting in there. I think I have my same greeting. There we go. And there's that card. So now other options, you might want to make one that's 3 3/4 by 5. I'm not sure I would go any smaller. You could, if you wanted to do a square card that's 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, you could do that. All of your strips would be the same size. They would all be cut at 3 1/4 by 1. I think that would be an interesting card. I haven't made one yet, but I think I might give that a try. So there's just an option for the around the block that's just a little different than the original. So we'll put all these over here. And now we're going to talk about another card layout that I like. Oh, here's the, I'm sorry, I forgot I had these. Here are the difference, the Hanukkah with the full front panel covered, and then the original. And here's the original Christmas one, and with the full panel covered. I kind of like this. Kind of like that. Okay, let's go on then now to the next layout that we have done this one before. And I didn't put my greetings on here because I wanted to show you the difference. But this is just 2 pieces of cardstock. Not cardstock, pattern paper. It could be cardstock. It could be 1 piece. Because if you have a pattern on each side of your cardstock, if the patterns are very complementary of one another and you like both of them, you can use just 1 piece of cardstock and you will get enough pieces to make your card. When you use 2 pieces of cardstock, you can make 2 cards. So here is the original, and it has this panel that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, 4 by 5 1/4. I am so sorry, my brain is not working today. And it's just like a normal first mat layer. But I think it's just really pretty to bring in these 2 complementary pieces of pattern paper. And then you just add the greeting, or you could add images, whatever you like. And of course you could add some kind of embellishment to, you know, make it, fancy it up. But I want to show you, this is the original. Now here's what one looks like when you use paper that is cut at 3 3/4 by 5. And it has, I put no mat. So this is be like a second mat layer without the first. Just your card base and a second mat. And then, like I said, you can add the greeting. You could add embellishments. Let's go ahead and add these greetings on here so they won't look so stark. But you can do, you know, pretty much whatever you want to the front. But it's just really nice to have those two pattern papers. Makes your pattern paper do the work, and I just think it looks really nice. And it makes, you know, just makes it a little bit easier to make your cards. It's a fun layout. So there's that one. And now the next one, here's one, and we've done it to just cover the whole card front. So these papers were cut at 5.5 by 4.25. It's the same exact process as the others. It just gives it that little bit different look. Get the backings off of these. There's our card. So here's the original with the 5.25 by 4-inch panel. Here's one that we took a panel that's 3 3/4 by 5. And then here's one that covers the entire card front, the 4.25 by 5.5. Now I'll show you this one. I said you might want to put a layer under it. Here are two cards that are this size, the 3 3/4 by 5. Here's one that is like this one. It just has a wider border. But here's one made with the same papers. So you get, like I said, you can get two cards out of your papers when you use two pieces. And see the difference? Here's this one has the little mat under it. This one doesn't. So see, there's all kinds of different things you can do with this card layout to make it a little different, dress it up, just keep it simple. But we will walk through how to do the original one and then how to do this one right here. I think you'll be able to figure out how to do this one on your own. But I need to get my paper trimmer. I'm sorry, guys. I just was not with it today. I have not been feeling that well lately. But I thought I was feeling better today. I'm thinking maybe not. Okay, paper trimmer. I'm sure that was some thrilling moments there, huh? Okay. We'll do the original. We have two pieces of pattern paper. I'm going to just put one right on top of the other. Like I said, this is the 4 by the 5.25. So we're going to cut these at an angle. So we're going to put top right corner or top left, it doesn't matter. Top right, bottom left. And we're going to cut. Now we're going to move these around. Try to keep them together. It's kind of hard, but I think we can do it. Get them all lined up. Not so sure my blue paper. There we go. Get them lined up. Now, if you wanted, you could take like a little sticky note or something and put right there to hold them together. But remember, you need to be able to cut through it. So we lined up this corner with the bottom corner. And here's our pieces. So we have pieces for 2 cards. We're going to use these right here. Put these away, make that card later. And then this is kind of similar to the Around the Block card. I call this card a crisscross angle card. That's just what I call it for my reference. I'm not really sure what it's actually called. That's what I call it. So, like I said, it's kind of like the Around the Block card in that how we use the piece of printer paper. Now, you can also do the trick with the cardstock. That will work. You'll just need to mark. Let me get the cardstock. You'll just need to mark just from corner to corner, just a little line where this corner needs to go and this corner. And then actually, if you just get the sides and get them on, these pieces will fit right in. But I'm going to use the piece of printer paper that's 4 1/4. No, it's 4 by 5 1/4. Oh my goodness, my brain, it's fried. Okay. So we'll just put this right on here. Once you get your pieces cut, that's the hard part. Putting them on here is easy. I don't think I have that one over as far as it needs to be. We'll see what happens. We can always trim that off. Okay. There we go. Now we get to put these pieces in. There's that one. And then one more. I'm going to cut this little piece off right here. And we'll put adhesive on the back of this. We have our card base. And we have a greeting. It's upside down, but we'll get it on right side up. Okay, there we go. And there's how you do that one. Now, like I said, to change this up a little bit, we just changed the size of our papers. And this one is the full panel one. And like I said, you cut your papers at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I have this one, and I've already cut the pieces. So we'll just put those on. We don't need any markings. We don't need any pieces of printer paper. We just line it up along the edge of the card base. There we go. And I you can put this one on next if you like. I kind of like to get my edges on, the long edges. But you can do that whichever way works best for you. This just is how it works best for me. Now I kind of like to take familiar layouts and change them up just a little. And they're still familiar. You just changed them just a tiny bit, but you've had experience making them, so it doesn't take quite so long to put them together. You just have to remember that you're cutting your pieces just a tiny bit differently. And there we go. And we have that same greeting for this one. There we go. Like I say, we can add a few embellishments. And of course I need to put an inside in the cards, but this is our, like I said, these are the ones we normally make. This is the original card. And then these are the full panels. And then these three, it's the one with the 3 3/4 by 5 inch panel, as are these. This one just has a mat and this one doesn't. So that is that cross angle card. Trying to make some room here. And then we do have all of these that we made, the around the block card, the different ways. And yes, these can be landscape or portrait. And I didn't make any portrait ones in this one, but you sure can. It works. They work either way. So that's another way to kind of change up your cards a little. Because I don't know if you're like me, I don't like to make the exact same card over and over. So I try to change up the designs just a little bit, just colors, whatever, just to give me something a little different to do. So there you have it. 2 layouts that you might use for your Christmas cards, and you have some more options now rather than just going by the original layout. I appreciate you joining me today, and in the description of this video you will find a link to my corresponding blog post, and that's where you will find pictures of these cards. You'll find instructions on how I made them, some tips, and a lot of other things. All the measurements, everything will be there, that corresponding blog post. Until next time, stamp happy.